Okay, so now we're going to look at making a box plot or a box and whisker plot, and it's slightly different for whether there's an even or an odd number of numbers. So in the first example, there's an even number of numbers. So if you count the numbers, there are 14 numbers. So if you divide 14 numbers equally in half, you'll have an equal number on each side. You'll have 7 numbers on one side and 7 on the right. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to box out 7 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my first 7 numbers, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just to double check. There's my 7 numbers. So the median, there is no one number in the middle. It's the average of the 7th and the 8th numbers, the 8 and the 9 here. So the average of those is right between them is 8.5. That's my median, 8.5. Now what you do is to find the first quartile and the third quartile, you find the middle of the bottom half and the middle of the upper half. So the bottom half has 7 numbers, so the middle of that will be, there will be a single number in the middle. It'll be the 4th number. The 4th number is in the middle, right? Because you have 7 numbers, that's the first quartile. So the first quartile is 6. And then in the upper half, there are 7 numbers, so the middle number will be the 4th number in that group, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 4th number is this one. That represents the 3rd quartile. And to make the box and whisker plot, first you draw a number line, which I don't know how to draw a straight line on this thing, so you use a ruler. You need a scale. You look at your numbers, they go from 2 to 17, so I'm going to use a scale of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. You should space them out evenly. And what I do is I put a dot over each of the highlighted values. So the minimum is 2, and the maximum is 17. So I put a dot over the 2, I put a dot over 17, I put a dot over the first quartile, which is 6, a dot over the median, which is 8.5, and a dot over the 3rd quartile, which is 12. And then you're going to put the lines going down and a box around from the 1st to the 3rd quartiles, and then a line through the median. So I put a lines going down around the 1st and 3rd quartiles, go across to make a box, and put a line down the middle for the median. Not the middle, but that point. And then you draw whiskers out to the maximum and the minimum. And this should all be straight. It should all be done using a ruler. Okay. In example 2, if you have an odd number of numbers, then you're gonna end up with a single number as your median. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 numbers. If you have 11 numbers, then if you have 11 numbers, then you'll have, if you split them evenly, you'll have 5 on one side, 5 on the other, and there will be a single middle number. It'll be the 6th number will be in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bottom half, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the upper half, and this single number, the 6th number, is my median. So my median is 25. Now I'm going to find the middle of the lower half to get the first quartile. So there are 5 numbers, so there will be a single number in the middle again. It'll be the 3rd number. This represents my first quartile. And then the middle of the upper half will be my 3rd quartile. So it'll be the 3rd number in that group. That'll be the 3rd quartile. And now I could just draw my number line. I'm going to go by 2s. Make a long number line. So I'm going to start with 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. I'm going to put a dot over each of the important values. So I'll put a dot over the minimum 20, a dot over 21 for the first quartile, a dot over 25 for the median, a dot over 31 for the 3rd quartile, and a dot over 37 for the maximum. Put a box around from 1st quartile to 3rd quartile, and a line for the median. And then draw whiskers out to the maximum and out to the minimum. So you see a very short whisker down to the minimum. That means that the bottom 25% of scores are very, very close together, and the upper 25% of scores for the upper 25%, those are very spread out. Okay, the next section is this concept of quartiles, but from a frequency table. Now, my frequency table is to make it a little easier. It's not the easiest to look at. You could recopy it if you want, but it really should be read from smallest to greatest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 51 to 60 is your lower scores. So you should be reading it this way, 61 to 70. You don't have to turn it around, but you should be reading it from bottom to the top. 71 to 80 is 8. 81 to 90 is 20 people. And 91 to 100, there were 12 people who got that score. So we should be reading it from the lowest score to the highest score. They're going to be asking you which interval contains the median, the first quartile, and the upper or third quartile. So the first thing you need to know to figure out where is the median, it's not the middle of what you see because you have different numbers of people, different frequencies for each interval. So first thing you want to do is figure out how many people there are represented in this data. So you want to figure out the total frequency. So you would add your frequency, and I have 20, 30, 43 people. So 43 people took this exam. To find the interval that contains the median, I'm going to imagine what I just did before is if I split 43 people into 2 equal parts, 21 plus 21 is 42. And so the 22nd person would be the median. That would be the middle person. So what I do is I count my frequencies or add up the frequencies from either end, from the bottom or the top. So I'll start here with the bottom. If I add 1 plus 2, I have 3 people. 3 plus 8 is 11 people. 11 plus 20 takes me past the 22nd person. So the 22nd person is somewhere in this interval of 81 to 90. The interval that contains the median is 81 to 90. And I would have gotten the same answer going the other direction if I had gone from the upper end. If I had gone this way, I would add 12 plus 20. That would already take me past the 22nd person also. So that would tell me the first quartile is, the median is in the interval 81 to 90. And the next question they ask, which interval contains the first quartile? So the first quartile is, if you remember up when we did the box and whisker plot, if I have 41 people, 43 people, 21 and 21 on each side, and the 22nd person is in the middle, then the first quartile is going to be the middle of the bottom fourth. So that, if I split up 21 people into 2 equal parts, would be 11 plus 10 plus 10 is 20. It would be the 11th person in that group from the bottom that would represent the first quartile. So I'm finding the middle of the bottom half. So going to the section, that's why I turned this frequency table around, going up here to yellow. If I add now to find where the 11th person is, I add 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 plus 8 is 11, right? So the 11th person is in this group of 71 to 80. So the interval 71 to 80 contains the median, the first quartile, because that's where the 11th person is. The 11th person is one of those 8 people who scored 71 to 80. And then which interval contains the upper quartile? The upper quartile is the third quartile. So again, if you have your 43 people divided in half, 21 and 21, the 22nd person is in the middle. Then the third quartile is the middle person in the upper end. It's the 11th person, because you're going to have 10 people here and 10 people here. It's the 11th person from the top. So if you count from the highest score, from 91 to 100, and you find where the 11th person is, well, there's 12 people here. So the 11th person has to be in that interval, 91 to 100. Okay, kind of confusing, I know, but you guys will practice this. You'll have some homework on this. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a nice weekend.